Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be doing my spring makeup routine. So this is what the makeup looks like. It's very glowy, it's very just springy, very pinky, very just light. And the best part about this is it literally takes me 15 minutes in the morning to look like this, and it lasts all day. It's super lightweight and a lot of it is just super glowy natural products. But yeah, if you'd like to see how I got this makeup look, then please keep watching. Okay, so to start off, I always start off with primer. So I really like a glowy primer, and also one that's kind of more like a gripping or kind of like pore filling primer. So the glowy primer that I'm going to use today is the Refy face primer. This is their glow and sculpt primer, I think it's called, and I literally just whack it all over my face. I love this. I think it is really good and it's really nice and hydrating. Like you can see there, my skin's a lot more glowy now. And then once that face primer has kind of dried in a bit, I go in with the gripping primer. So this is the Beauty Crop gripping primer. It's their Wee Cherie primer, and what I do is I just grab a little bit of that and pop it on my chin and my like nose area, because I find that's where I tend to lose makeup the most for some reason. What I like about this one as well is that it's actually quite a hydrating gripping primer. It's not like a super silicone-y, like really, I don't know what the word is. It's not like a super silicone-y drying primer. It's like a very hydrating one. So then while that starts to tack up a little bit, I will then go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is in the shade 4 medium. It's a little bit dark for me, but my hands are so much darker than like my face and my neck, and I always try and just make sure everything matches. So I'm just popping this all over my skin, and then I just like to go in with the Refy stippling brush and just buff that in all over my face and just make sure it's really blended out. And what this does is it provides a little bit of a base for my foundation, but it also just provides a nice even coverage. Like if I wanted to do a no makeup look, I would skip my foundation after this and just go in with the rest of my makeup. But today I want to show you what I do on like a regular makeup day, so we're gonna do all 7 steps. As you can see, it does provide just a little bit more of like an even coverage, and it just makes your skin look really glowy and really healthy, and that is what I love about it. I know it breaks some people out, and I'm pretty sure it does break me out, but I just close my eyes and ignore that. So for like an everyday foundation, I like to go in with something a little bit lighter than say like my NARS. So I end up going in with the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. Now this one is obviously for when I am tanned, so I have it in the shade 6 Neutral. I'm not gonna lie, I have noticed that this foundation kind of oxidizes a little bit on me, so I kind of just like to be a little bit more light-handed with this, especially since we have the Flawless filter underneath, because then what happens is I can even out the rest of my skin with concealer and kind of like brighten it up a bit. If I go in with too much of this, it can sometimes just look a bit orange and I can't fix it, whereas if you go in with like a lighter layer, it doesn't seem to be as orangey. And I'm just using, this is actually a Mitchell, I think it came with like his blushes. It's his I think that's F4. I just really like how packed and dense it is, because it just gives the most amount of coverage. But because this foundation isn't really like a high coverage foundation, it just makes sure that it gives the maximum amount of coverage that it can. I really like this foundation. I really like the look of it. I really like how it lasts. I really like just the coverage, the finish, absolutely everything like that. Also as well, I've kind of mainly gone back to brushes for everything. I just find brushes, I can really press it into my skin, and with a beauty blender it tends to disrupt the makeup underneath. I don't know if anyone else finds this, but because a beauty blender is wet water, if I have any kind of like oil based or silicone based products, it tends to either lift off my makeup or it tends to like make my makeup separate on my skin, and I don't love it. But as you can see, my skin has a lot of coverage to it. It still is showing like my freckles and imperfections through, but it just has made it look a lot more even, and I find it also makes it just look really glowy and just beautiful. Okay, so moving on to cream contour, the one that I have been absolutely obsessed with is the Pink Honey BFF Bronzing Face Frosting. This is in the shade Fudge Glaze, and what I do is I just grab the other end of the Refy brush and I just stipple it on initially with the brush and then just blend it out. I really like this brush for cream contour. I find it packs on the product, but it also makes it easy to blend out. So I just focus it on my forehead and then my cheeks and my nose. I used to do my jaw, but I find with my jaw it can sometimes just look like unblended foundation, so I've been avoiding doing that. But as you can see, it just gives a really nice colour and it blends out so easy. Like, I'm not having to use a beauty blender to make sure it's like fully blended out. Like, the brush is doing it itself. And even if you go in with too much, I don't know why, but this bronzer is just like, the more you blend it, the easier and softer it gets. So like, if you put on too much, just keep blending, because it will eventually like just sort itself out. I like to put quite a bit on my nose, because then once I go in with concealer on either side of it, it kind of like shears it out. And then anything that's just left on the brush, I run it through my eye sockets just to give a bit of definition to the eyes. Okay, so moving on to concealer. I know I said for a while that I was going off my Too Faced Born This Way. I'm back on it. I'm absolutely obsessed with just the coverage and the hydration and just the formula of this. I've never loved a concealer as much in my life. I get mine in the shade Porcelain for when I'm tan, by the way, if anyone is wondering. I just put like a small bit under my eyes, my chin, on my forehead, and then any blemishes I might have. But yeah, I know I went off that. I was on my Hourglass one for a while, my Laura Mercier one for a while, but nothing genuinely beats this concealer. It is the best concealer, especially if you have dry skin. And what I've been loving about this base routine is, even though it is obviously taking me a while on camera to, you know, blend everything and do everything, this makeup routine literally takes me like 15 minutes in the morning, and it makes me just look so awake, so glowy, so put together. And even though it's a lot of product, and I know this might be too much for someone's everyday makeup routine, it just provides me with a bit more confidence in the day, and it doesn't take me that long, and that's what I love. So I'm just blending this out, guys. You need this concealer. If you have not tried it, I'm sorry, but it is just the best concealer. No one can tell me otherwise. I've had this same bottle for years now, and it literally is still going so strong. This is the Real Techniques setting brush, by the way, if anyone's wondering. Just a small brush, and like I said, as you can see, it ended up going up the sides of my nose, so it kind of blended out that contour a little bit for me. Like, look how smooth my skin looks right now and how glowy. That is a 10 out of 10 base, if you tell me. And I'm just going in with my beauty blender now, just to make sure those under eyes are blended and any excess product. This is a dry beauty blender, by the way, and just making sure that any extra concealer and stuff like that does get picked up, but it's not being disrupted by a wet beauty blender. Okay, so lately I've been loving layering blushes. So I've been using the Nude 6 Nudies all over face color in the shade In the Nude, and then on top of it I've been using the Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Beauty Light one in the shade Pinkgasm, because I love the color and the coverage that this gives, but I love the glow of this. So I've been mixing these two together, and I'm not joking you, since mixing blushes, it has just been a game changer. Like, I don't know why we don't mix blushes more often. I've seen one girl mix her blush all the time. Like, she loves a little ombre blush. Sorry, I'm just taking this on a brush. This is the Blank Canvas F36, and I'm just stamping it like on my cheekbones. Nothing higher, nothing lower, just on my cheekbones. But yeah, I always see her doing an ombre blush, and I just never think to like mix products. I don't know why. I'm always just the type of person that just sticks to what they know and just puts on the one of each product and goes. But like, layering blushes especially just makes so much sense, because it means you can get your perfect color. You know, we mix foundations all the time. Why wouldn't we then mix blushes? Like, such a genius idea. So I'm really just making sure that is blended out, and then once I'm happy with how blended out that is, I then go in with the Charlotte Tilbury one. The Charlotte Tilbury one is kind of like of a similar color to the Nude 6 one, but I just like the glow that it adds. And now for this, I do go in with a beauty blender, again dry, just to press it in, just so it doesn't disturb what's underneath. For powder, of course, I'm going in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder. You guys know this is literally the only powder that I use, although I am hoping to get my hands on the Huda Beauty powders. I've heard nothing but good things about that pinky shade, and that's all I want. We're just going to start off with our forehead. So I like to set the center of my face first, just to make sure that no lines are being set. And then as soon as my forehead's set, I like to go in with my under eyes, just to make sure that they don't crease. Now, I know we are going to initially lose the glow from this powder, but once I use setting spray, it will all come back, so do not worry. And then my chin. I always make sure I set my smile lines because I have really deep smile lines, and my skin likes to really eat up my makeup there, so I set that. So now that the center of my face has been set with a translucent powder, I've now been going in with a pressed powder to set the rest of my face. So I've actually been using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Complexion Perfecting Micro Powder, and this is in the shade 1 Fair. And the reason I've been going so light with this is because I sometimes find that the shade 2 is actually too dark for me, whereas like the shade 1, not only will it just set the rest of my face, so I'm literally just going around like underneath my contour and on my chin and basically repowdering over the places that I've just set. But the shade 1 kind of just brightens up under my eyes, it brightens up all the areas that I've placed concealer, and then I just take a smaller brush and again, like I just said, place it under my eyes to brighten it up. And I do feel like it does make the world of a difference, and it kind of just smooths out my under eyes as well. I'm looking a bit one-dimensional, so I'm now going to go in with setting spray. Now this isn't actually the e.l.f. setting spray. I've transferred the Laura Mercier translucent setting spray into this because the mister on mine is broke. And I'm just going to wait for this to dry before I go in with any like powder bronzer, powder blush, anything like that. Okay, for powder bronzer, are we surprised? I'm going to be going in with the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Dark. This is literally my favorite bronzer of all time, and I've actually been going in with a smaller brush recently. This is the, I think it's Blank Canvas F15. I've just been taking it and really just focusing it where I want my bronzer to be, because I feel like sometimes when you use a bigger bronzer brush, it ends up just going everywhere and you can almost just look really like muddy. So I've been going in with a smaller brush and I've been really loving it. Same with the cheeks, and I go a little bit more light-handed on my cheeks, and that is purely just because we never actually set my cheeks with loose powder or the pressed powder, so I want to make sure that this makeup is set before I start like rubbing it in, because if I start straight away like just going like this, what's gonna happen is gonna disrupt the creams underneath, and it's going to end up looking really messy, really muddy, and you're actually going to end up nearly having to redo your whole makeup. And then anything that's just left on the brush, I just run it on my nose just so we haven't lost any colour there, and through my eyelids. Then for blush, of course, I will be going in with MAC Melba. This never changes. My favourite blush in the entire world is this blush. I just think it's such a pretty pink muted colour, and I'm going in with the usual blush brush. This is the Rebelluna 404. I just grab this and I keep this placed quite high up on my cheekbones like I did with the cream and liquid blush, and it just means it's going to bring the light upwards and lift up my cheekbones like that. And as you can see, that natural glow has come back through since we have set our face, and that's what we want, because there's nothing worse than when you have used all these glowy products, you set your face, and then it all disappears. No. And then the last step of my base is this. This is the Refi Gloss Highlighter in the shade Topaz. Now I know I have already powdered and stuff like that, and this should be a sin that I'm putting cream on top, but what I do is I take a little bit on the back of my hand and I grab my beauty blender and I start pouncing it on the back of my hand so that it literally shears it out completely, and then whatever is on the sponge I will then just dab over my cheeks, and look at that. It ends up not separating my makeup because I've spread it out on the back of my hand, so it's a very thin layer on the beauty blender, but it also just looks so nice and just glowy on top of the powders. It doesn't look really shiny and really sticky and really thin many. It just looks really nice and a healthy glow, and it doesn't separate my makeup. We love it. I do wish you would bring out more shades of this, purely because when I'm pale I literally cannot use this whatsoever, but then again it's very hard to find a pale highlighter in general. The only brand that has actually done a pale highlighter that I feel like everyone has agreed with is the best pale highlighter is the Balm's My Illuminizer. I still have that, and I honest to God, I will savour that till the day I die, because it is the only pale highlighter that anyone I've ever known who is pale can get away with. Okay, so now that all my powder products are on, I'm gonna go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Satin Spray. And basically the reason I go in with this one as well as the Laura Mercier one is the Laura Mercier one's quite like a hydrating satin spray, so that just melts everything into my skin, whereas this is actually gonna set down my makeup. So I like to use this at the very end before I do brows, before I do lips, before I do mascara, and it just makes sure that all the powder products melt into my skin and actually lock in the rest of my base. And I just wait for this to dry before I do anything else. Okay, then it's time to move on to brows. So for brows, like I said, I have been changing it up. So what I've been doing is I've literally just been brushing through my brows, and then once they're brushed through, I've been going in with the pencil. This is, sorry I forgot to mention, this is the NYX brow pencil in the shade Taupe. It is literally my favorite brow pencil to exist. And what I do is I literally just fill in the gaps where I basically have essentially no brow hairs, and I just structure my brow a little bit more, and I just go back in with the spoolie and I just work that through my brows like so, and I just literally go back and forth with the brush and the product until I'm happy with my brow. So once my brows are done, I actually don't carve them out whatsoever. I just let them be because my brows naturally are two different shapes and I just don't have the time for that. But the brow glue that I do use is the Got To Be Glued Brows and Edges Gel. This is definitely not as tough of a hold as their actual like gel, you know, the one in the tube that I usually use, but this one just makes sure that they stay up. It makes sure that they just stay in place. I don't have to do much with them, and my brow hairs are quite thin anyway, so anything will keep them up really. But yeah, I just use this and brush it through my brows, and it just is to make sure that they don't move out of that position essentially. For mascara then, all I use is my usual. This is the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara in the brown shade, so I'm gonna go put this on. I'm also gonna curl my lashes. I just use any lash curler, and then we'll move on to lips. Okay, so now that my mascara is on, I'm now gonna move on to lips. So the lip combo that I use is always the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Liner, but then it really depends on my mood for which gloss. So it's either gonna be the Refi lip gloss, just the clear one, or the Dior lip oil in the clear one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna line my lips first. I just love how smooth and creamy the Charlotte Tilbury lip liners are. They just really glide on your lips, and they're not like really drying. I just do a rough outline like that and make sure it's all blended. I think today I'm gonna go in with the Refi, or not the Refi, the Dior lip oil, just because I want something a bit thicker today because my lips are quite dry. So I literally just slather this everywhere, and it just makes a really easy lip combo to top up. And if it starts rubbing off, you really don't notice it because it's not like a lipstick or you get that rim around your mouth. It's literally just a lip liner and lip gloss. So guys, that is the end of today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed seeing my spring makeup routine. Also as well, I don't know if you noticed, but I actually got my hair cut today. I got a good bit off of it. Let me know what you think. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying having like just light airy hair, and I think it's really nice for like spring, something a bit different, something a bit, yeah, just lighter. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my little spring makeup routine and just seeing all the new products that I've been using, the new techniques that I've been doing, and also just the kind of more glowier natural makeup that I've been doing. Thank you so much for watching today's video. As always, I will leave all the products linked down below. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and leave a comment down below what other videos you would like me to do. But yeah guys, I will see you in my next one. Bye!